Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we all doing? Whoo! Neptune is officially in Aries now. Neptune is officially in Aries now. On the 27th of January, we find Mercury conjunct Venus. Mercury's starting to catch up to be pulled into the sway of the magnetic resonance of Venus in Aquarius. On the 26th, Neptune tipped its first rotations into the 0 point, into the axis mundi of the astrological wheel, the 0 point of Aries. And we're going to talk a lot in this update, which is moving us into the energies of the February 1st Leo full moon. We're going to talk a lot about that 0 degree of Aries, and we're going to talk a lot about Aquarius because there is a massive stellium in Aquarius right now. Let's take a moment to feel where we're going to begin this journey. Let's begin with that Aquarian energy, shall we? So I'm going to do a bit of a roll call here so we can start to feel how much is moving through the dreamy, transcendent waters of this air sign of community and grassroots activity and unique genius and expression. We have Pluto at 3 degrees. We have the Hathors, that interdimensional sacred cow energy, that divine mother energy of the Hathors at 6 degrees. We have Mars, the I am presence at 7 degrees. This is all on the full moon. As we're coming into the energy, even as I'm speaking right now, Mars is more exactly conjunct Pluto when that Venusian mercurial conjunction is occurring. When we get to the Leo full moon on the 1st of February, Pluto 3, Hathor 6, Mars 7, underworld journeying, the shadow work of shamanic energy, the journey into the depths of the being, transformational energy of Pluto, and in particular, Pluto in Aquarius, where we find medicine for all of us, shadows revealed to all of us. This is not journeying for the high priest and high priestess alone. This is communion with the divinity within each and every one of us. The Hathors, Mars, coming in to bring together, to flow with us here, that I am divine, that I am a being of creation, that I am sacred, and so is everything else. Everyone else, all of creation as sacred being. And here we're also starting to come into conjunction, into connection with our sacred service, which may be the literal work that we do in the world, which may be an aspect, a frequency exchange connected to the seemingly mundane work that we do in the world. We then find Vesta, that fire, that ignition point, that passion, which is also part of what Mars is all about. Exactly conjunct Medusa at 11 degrees. 11 degrees. Medusa, reclamation of wisdom, of creative potential, that serpentine energy of the Kundalini, of the primordial feminine, risen up into the consciousness, in communion with the Christos, with the diamond consciousness, with the light body, the embodied form, in communion, in conjunction with the light body. This is part of the medicine of Medusa. When we feel this conjunction, we move through Pluto, we move through the underworld, we come into greater contact in the creation of our being. With the Hathors, with Mars, we come into that I am. And then we start to feel that fire burning. The energy of fire calls in, doesn't it? It calls in consciousness. Fire eats oxygen. It calls in our consciousness and it stokes the fuel. It stokes those embers. It stokes those embers and brings more of our embodiment rising, our creationness, our capacity to be creators and creatrix, to be beings of magic, of alchemical, elemental communion. Then we move into Shiva, and we find Shiva now at 12 degrees, at 12 degrees of Aquarius. This is the foundation upon which everything is balancing. And here I'm going to do a little segue, because one of the energies that I have been feeling very loudly, one of the places that we're navigating during this Leonian full moon, is the moon across the wheel from this stellium in the middle, acting as the balance point of the pendulum that's swinging through this continuum. And we're connecting in with that bright light shining into our unconscious and subconscious, bringing us into connection with it as we bring all of our wisdom, all of our journey into connection with the super consciousness, with the wholeness of our being. And then we find the sun. Yes, the sun at 13 degrees, our outward expression, inviting us to take all of this information, all of this wisdom that we have gathered as we've moved through these early stages of Aquarius with Pluto and the Hathors and Mars and Vesta and Medusa and Shiva. So we've moved through all of this energy and we come now to almost the midpoint of Aquarius, where we find the sun and we're bringing that wisdom, that medicine up into the forefront. Across the wheel at 13 degrees of Leo, we have the moon, of course, in its full presentation. Now, interestingly to note, this is the final of a series of 13-degree full moons that we've had. The next full moon will be a total lunar eclipse at 12 degrees of Virgo. So this is also guiding us into the eclipse wormhole. Our next new moon is a ring of fire eclipse. Our next full moon will be a total lunar eclipse. So we are starting to experience the energies, the pull of that eclipse wormhole now. Okay. Then we move a little down the way, and over the course before we get to the next players in this Aquarian stellium on the full moon, it's important to note that right now, and in these days leading up to the Leo full moon, we find a little dance occurring with Mercury and Venus. I mentioned on the 27th, Mercury and Venus come into their first bi-degree conjunction, both hitting the 12 degree. As we move between the 27th and the 29th of February, or of January, sorry, we find this kind of tango, this almost call and response as Venus pulls away a little bit and then Mercury comes up and then Venus pulls away a little bit and then Mercury comes up. And all the while, Inanna, who is that Venus's name before Venus was named Venus energy, an aspect of the divine feminine, also known as Astarte, the star energy, that magnetic resonance of the morning and evening star, which Venus, the planet, represents, now in evening star mode. And by the time we get to the 29th, at 14 degrees of Aquarius now, we find Mercury passing through and taking the lead and moving us further, almost as if that magnetic resonance of Venus pulls Mercury through, and in its aspect as facilitator and translator, it pulls away and begins to carry all of the other energies of this Aquarian age, this Aquarian stellium, further forward. By the time we get to the full moon in Leo on the 1st of February, Mercury will now be at 21 degrees of Aquarius, Venus and Inanna exactly conjunct at 19. So here we can feel this pull. We can feel this movement. And when we feel that moon all by its lonesome, across the wheel from all of this energy, we can start to understand that we are filtering energy through. There is another another little tickling that came in the other day as I was feeling into the energies of this Leonian full moon, and a couple words came through that we'll share now with you. One was a roaring good time. Leo is this energy. Leos, if you have any Leos in your life, you'll probably understand this. They're very gregarious, very vivacious, and they love to share love. There's all this energy that they bring to everything that they do. And that roaring good time is part of it too. That roaring good time is part of it too. Another piece that came in is the fire ignites. And here I'm going to bring us back to some of the energies that we were talking about as we experienced the Capricorn new moon, which is that energy of the wood snake coming into its ashen form, almost phoenix-like, coming into its ashen form, all but burned away. The fire horse is literally going to jump through a ring of fire eclipse and come into the stage on the 17th of February. The time that we are navigating now is more liminal. The time that we're navigating now is more liminal. And when we feel the fixed signs, which the sun and all that stellium and Aquarius are playing with, and which the moon in Leo is playing with. Fixed energy is working with the subtle bodies. Part of what that bright light of the full moon is doing is blowing, kindling those embers within that ash. And for us, each collectively, individually, as we move through this energy of the snow moon, part of what we're doing is finding that light within. Remember, the moon is the unconscious, the subconscious. It is that which is within us. It's reflective also. It reflects outward. It projects outward. So if we are focused, if we are bringing our awareness to the light, to the warmth within us, to that creative fire that burns within us individually, we come collectively into our relationships as an expression of that unique vitality. Which brings me to Neptune in Aries. Neptune in Aries, where we start to transcend self-limiting ideas, where we feel that fire burning within our water. It is that alchemical marriage of fire and water with Neptune and Aries. We're starting the portal of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Saturn's still in Pisces as we move through this. And if you want to know more about that, I direct you to the Golden Dawning Aquarian Age update that I did. I facilitated a couple of days ago. There will be a link below. This portal, this energetic opening of connection between the world, the foundations, our being, the axis mundi, which is all of materiality, with that transcendental energy, with that shamanic dreaming energy of Neptune coming in, helping us to say, I have remembered that I am. And as we move through the eclipse wormhole and Saturn starts to get involved in the party some more, we're really cranking up and building up that fire even more. The exact conjunction is actually 2 days, or Saturn comes into Aries 2 days before that ring of fire eclipse, and the exact conjunction is just 3 days later. So there is a lot of movement right now. And we, in this time of the snow moon, are blowing on those embers, stoking the fire, coming into greater conjunction and connection with that unique genius which we have to share with the entirety of creation. There is a fire grand trine during this flame igniting, kindling, roaring good time of a Leo full moon between the moon itself in Leo, Ceres, and Freya in Aries, and the great attractor in Sagittarius. Some of this energy, just like with so many full moons, is an energy of bringing more energy, more clearing, more capacity for transmutation, for movement within and without. The great attractor helps us to pull out that which we do not need anymore. It is also the fabric. It is the downslope that helps create the tapestry of creation. Let's feel for a moment. On my end, I'll share. that I've noticed some hiccups as I've been recording this. Some interesting little blips and glitches in the recording. I don't know if they'll show up when I edit the recording, but it feels important to highlight that they have been occurring. Part of the energy of all of this fire grand trine, this stellium in that air and water sign that is Aquarius. Now, Aquarius, yes, it is an air sign. It is about expression, but it is the water bearer. And the water bearer pours the mana from heaven. Now, the mana is the breath of life. It is the prana. So it is literally airy water, watery air. It is the fluid and the fuel of our beings that allows the animation. This also means that the electromagnetics are really roaring right now. And if you notice that we had the strongest geomagnetic storm in nearly 20 years as the Capricorn new moon was shifting out, you'll have an energetic understanding of what we're talking about here. So if there's glitches in this recording, it's not all that surprising, right? The auroras are still kicking in the northern hemispheres, from my understanding. Two days after the Leo full moon, Uranus will be turning around and starting forward movement once again as well. This is beginning a journey towards forward momentum, which in March will begin in earnest. And gifting us with renewed sight. Uranus has been sitting there on top of Algol, that third eye of Medusa, that fixed star of sight, bringing us into bodily form or bodily connection. Now, Uranus can feel quite disembodied at times, and it's important to note that Uranus is also the ruler of Aquarius, so that Uranus is turning around and stationing direct again just after the moon shines a bright light on this Aquarian stellium. Feels pretty important. We are asking ourselves through this retrograde of Uranus in Taurus, what does the new earth mean to me? What does it mean to be embodied divinity? What does it mean to wake up? And as Uranus turns around again, just like the shift of Saturn from Pisces to Aries is inviting a releasing of restrictions to flow state, that we may come into co-creation more wholly. This journey, as Uranus begins to turn around on the third eye of Medusa, is an invitation to ask ourselves during this Leo full moon, what is it that I am awakening to? What is it that I am being guided, felt, intuited, made aware, understanding? Is the gift, the expression that I personally, my service work, that which I am here to share with the all of creation, with the world, and whom shall I collaborate with in this journey? And what is it that I should let be swept away with the rest of the ash as the winds blow on this snow moon? Let me feel for a moment. Yes. We're going to talk very briefly about Sedna before we close today. Sedna is the asteroid that is of 10,000 Earth year orbit. 10,000 Earth year orbit, all the way out to the Oort cloud, the farthest reaches of our solar system, and back again, and currently on the trajectory of back again, returning with all of that information. And here the guidance is to connect with permeable membrane. Permeable membrane. As Sedna right now is moving retrograde at 0 of Gemini, sextile Neptune. Very slowly does Sedna move, right? Certain places it seems to move faster, and certain places a bit slower. The Inuit goddess Sedna is a guardian of transition. The underworld, yes, but of transition in general, and of tangled hair. The fishermen, the hunters of the Inuit, especially Greenland Inuit areas where Sedna is one of their mothers, the grandmother, understand that offering to brush Sedna's hair will help keep their nets from getting tangled when they cast them into the sea. This act of generosity, of love. Think of that energy of a mother, whether you are someone who's had long hair before or not, of a mother combing the hair of their child, and that bonding experience. You could also look at it when a mother cat or lion in this Leonian full moon grooms their babies or each other. Here we are coming into connection with those places and spaces where we can take care of ourselves and one another. We're also connecting through that far membrane, through that membrane, the Oort cloud that surrounds our solar system, that has been keeping us safe and the rest of the galactic dimension safe as well, as we have been learning in this plane of existence, so we can't do harm too far flung. Those membranes are thinning, and our responsibility is deepening to tend to each other more gently, more tenderly, more lovingly. This is part of that blue flame energy as well. We come into that second chamber, that rose quartz chamber of the heart, and we start to share unconditional love with one another, with ourselves, and we start to feel held and loved. And all of a sudden, we're not hurting people. We're sharing in communal exaltation. And that's really where this choose your own adventure Aquarian golden hour is taking us, is to those places where we can nourish and nurture one another, where we do not have to inflict our pain on one another because we see wholly and fully there am another I am. Sedna's message at that 0 of Gemini in this retrograde form is helping us to untangle those old stories locked up, and sometimes it's even locked up in our fascia, right? It's locked up in the fine, subtle body muscle tissue of our physicality. Those spaces and places to untangle that which had us locked or stagnating or constantly recycling our trauma so that we can open more fully into the new path that is opened and unfolded before us. Right now in the Blue Flame Apothecary community space, I am offering the Rose Dragons transmission and activation. And we have a lot of movement with the dragon's eyes, those eyes of Draco right now. And the rose dragons are just coming into Capricorn, helping us lay new foundations, new structures into detached service and empowered compassion. It is completely free. There's a link below if you want to experience it. Again, there will be a link below for the YouTube energy update about this Saturn-Neptune conjunction and also the 13th morning transmission and activation that I shared for opening up into all that 2026 has to offer as we move into and closer to the year of the fire horse. If it calls to become an Inner Sanctum member of the Blue Flame Apothecary on Circle, there's ways to do that below as well. And please do leave me comments and share your journey. It's always such a gift to share in these wisdoms with you and witness what percolates as you experience these transmissions as they come through. And with that, as always, in the always, so much and many loves to you from the dimensions of the all and beyond, beyond. Thank you.